If Machiavelli woke up today, he wouldn't be shocked by the technology. He'd be laughing at how easy you've made it to control you. Your phone knows what you'll buy before you want it. The algorithm knows what you'll click before you see it. Your boss knows what you'll say before you speak. You think you're making choices. You're running a script someone else wrote. And the people who wrote it? They're using rules that are 500 years old. Right now, there are people moving through your world like ghosts. They don't argue in comment sections, don't post vulnerability threads, don't fight for attention. They're the ones getting the promotion while you're working harder, the ones ending relationships on their terms while you're trying to fix things, the ones building empires while you're building a personal brand that means nothing. They're not smarter than you, not more talented, not luckier. They just know something you don't. They know the game being played in 2026 isn't the one you think it is. While you're optimizing your LinkedIn profile and journaling about your feelings, they're running psychological operations on everyone around them. And here's what nobody tells you. In a world where everyone is screaming to be seen, the person who stays invisible holds all the power. In an economy that runs on outrage, the person who feels nothing controls everything. In a surveillance state that predicts your every move, the person who can't be predicted can't be controlled. Machiavelli understood this 500 years ago. He wrote The Prince as a manual for navigating power in a world of chaos and deception. But 2026 isn't Renaissance Italy, it's something darker, more subtle, more total. The mechanisms of control aren't swords and armies anymore. They're algorithms, dopamine loops, social credit, data profiles, predictive models. You're being farmed for attention, manipulated for engagement, and sorted into categories you didn't choose. And most people will live their entire lives without realizing their batteries powering someone else's machine. I've spent 2 decades studying power dynamics, strategic manipulation, and the dark psychology of influence, not the sanitized corporate version, the real version. The version intelligence agencies use, the version cult leaders perfect, the version that separates the governed from the governors. And what I discovered is this: the rules haven't changed, only the battlefield. Machiavelli's principles, the ones that built empires and toppled kingdoms, they work better now than they ever did. Because most people don't even know they're in a game. They think if they work hard, tell the truth and be authentic, the universe will reward them. It won't. The universe rewards people who understand leverage, who control perception, who manipulate outcomes before anyone realizes manipulation occurred. Today I'm going to give you 13 rules. These aren't tips. They're not life hacks. They're psychological weapons adapted from Machiavelli's playbook for the digital surveillance age. Apply them and you become ungovernable, unpredictable, untouchable. A glitch in the system that can't be categorized, controlled, or consumed. But I need to warn you. Once you see how the game actually works, you can't unsee it. The comfort of ignorance is gone forever. By the end of this video, you'll understand all 13 rules in detail. But there's one rule, Rule 13, that ties everything together. It's the principle that separates people who perform power from people who are power. It's also the rule that will make you most uncomfortable, because it requires abandoning the one thing you've been conditioned to protect your entire life. Most people will close this video before we get there. The question is, are you most people, or are you ready to see the machine for what it is? Rule 1. Become an algorithmic ghost. Here's what most people don't understand about 2026. You're not living in reality. You're living in a simulation of reality constructed from your data. Every click, every pause, every scroll, every search. The algorithm is watching, learning, predicting. It knows what makes you angry, what makes you click, what makes you buy. And once it knows your pattern, you're owned. Machiavelli wrote, "Men are so simple and so ready to obey immediate needs that a deceiver will never lack victims." In 2026, the deceiver isn't a prince, it's the algorithm, and you're feeding it every single day. The strategic response. Starve the prediction. You need to become what I call an algorithmic ghost. This doesn't mean deleting social media. That's retreat, and retreat is weakness. It means disrupting the pattern. If the system demands consistency, you become erratic. You engage with content you hate, buy things you don't need and return them. Disable location tracking not out of paranoia, but out of strategy. Why? Because when you can't be profiled, you can't be targeted. When the algorithm can't predict you, it can't manipulate you. In social contexts, people in 2026 are obsessed with categorization. They need to know, are you left or right? Alpha or beta? Entrepreneur or employee? They want to put you in a box so they can stop thinking about you. Machiavelli would refuse the box. One day, you're the life of the party, center of gravity, magnetic, present. The next day, you're unreachable, cold, distant. You quote Nietzsche in a street fight, use street slang in a boardroom. This isn't confusion, it's camouflage. When people can't figure you out, they become obsessed. They waste mental energy trying to decode your pattern. And while they're burning calories analyzing you, you're 3 moves ahead, dismantling their defenses without them even noticing. The principle: in 2026, consistency is a death sentence. It makes you replaceable by AI, targetable by enemies, predictable by systems designed to control you. Be the glitch, the error message in their mental programming. When they expect you to zig, don't zag. Vanish. Rule 2. Weaponized apathy, the Grey Rock Doctrine. We live in an outrage economy. Your anger is a commodity. Your offense is monetized. Every headline, tweet, and video is engineered to bypass your logic and hijack your amygdala. Machiavelli would see this as the ultimate weakness. A generation with no emotional skin. Poke them, they bleed. Insult them, they type paragraphs. Ignore them, they spiral. He wrote, "He who is the cause of another becoming powerful ruins himself." Translation: when you react to someone, you give them power. Your anger funds their relevance. Your attention validates their existence. The counter-strategy: become unreactive. In 2026, the ultimate power move isn't winning the argument. It's looking at the argument, looking at the person screaming, and feeling absolutely nothing. This is the Grey Rock method, weaponized. You become a surface so smooth, so cold, so uninteresting that their manipulation slides off like water. Practical application. Someone tries to provoke you, insults you, spreads a rumor, tries to trigger you in a meeting. The old you would defend yourself, raise your voice, explain. The Machiavellian you look at them, hold eye contact 3 seconds too long, don't blink, then turn back to your work without saying a word. You treat them like background noise, like a pop-up ad. You don't argue with a pop-up ad. You close it. Why this destroys people? They need your reaction to validate their existence. When you deny them that reaction, you're not ignoring them, you're erasing them. In a world where everyone is screaming, "Look at me," the person who says nothing is the loudest thing in the room. Silence isn't empty. It's heavy, full of answers they're afraid to hear. Let them exhaust themselves trying to get a rise out of you, and when they're tired, panting, desperate for any acknowledgement, smile, a cold, detached smile. Then walk away. Rule 3. The synthetic mirror, reflecting their ideal self. Everyone in 2026 believes they're the main character. Social media trained an entire generation into terminal narcissism. They're not looking for connection, they're looking for an audience. Machiavelli would exploit this ruthlessly. He wouldn't try to impress people with his achievements, wouldn't talk about his story, because he knows nobody cares. The strategy: show them their ideal self. You don't show people who you are. You show them the version of themselves they desperately want to be. Dealing with someone who thinks he's a genius, don't prove you're smarter. Ask questions that let him perform his genius, Let him lecture. Let him preen. Become the perfect mirror for his ego. Why? Because once someone sees their ideal self reflected in your eyes, they become addicted to you. They don't love you. They love the way they feel when they're around you. Subtle distinction, massive difference. Machiavelli wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." In 2026, you must curate that appearance for each individual target. This isn't being fake, it's interface design. For the insecure boss, you're the loyal, slightly less intelligent soldier. For the chaotic partner, you're the grounding rock. For the rebel, you're the co-conspirator you shift, adapt, mirror. The dark beauty, while they're staring into the mirror, admiring their reflection. They don't notice you're studying them, learning their triggers, their insecurities, their vanity, gathering data that will allow you to dismantle them later, should it become necessary. Most people try to break down walls with force. The mirror walks through the front door because the owner invited him in. If you're still watching, you're already different from most people. Most would have clicked away by now, uncomfortable with what these rules reveal about human nature. But you're still here, which means you're starting to see it. The invisible game being played around you every single day. The manipulation, the psychological warfare, the strategic deception. And here's what happens next. The rules get darker, more precise, more dangerous. Because we're about to enter the territory where morality becomes optional and outcomes become everything. Let me show you how deep this goes. Rule 4. Outsource the dirty work, the invisible hand. In the digital age, fingerprints are forever. You cannot afford to be the villain. Get caught destroying a reputation, sabotaging a rival, cutting a throat. The mob descends. Cancel culture is the modern guillotine. Machiavelli advised princes to delegate unpopular measures to others while keeping the means of winning favor in their own hands. In 2026, never be the one holding the knife. Be the one who whispers to the person holding it. Tactical example. A rival needs to be removed from your company. Amateur move. File a complaint. Confront them. Make it known. Professional move. Plant a seed of doubt. Casual comment to the boss. I'm worried about him. He looks exhausted. I hope he's not struggling again. Frame it as concern, as empathy. Then step back. Let the system do the work. Let office politics run its course. When the blow lands, when he's fired, you're there to offer comfort. You're the survivor, the clean one. Information warfare application. Never attack an enemy directly on public platforms. It looks petty. Instead, let others attack for you. Like a comment, share an article without caption. Signal to your network who the target is without saying the name. The mob is a weapon, but you don't lead it from the front. You direct it from the shadows. The psychological effect. People notice that bad things happen to those who cross you, but they can never prove it was you. They suspect. They feel it. And that suspicion creates deeper respect than any direct threat ever could. The threat you can see is a challenge. The threat you can't see is a curse. Be the curse. Rule 5. The black box. Information asymmetry. We live in the era of radical transparency, or at least the illusion of it. People live stream their breakdowns, tweet their locations, post their wins and losses. They believe sharing is connecting. Machiavelli would be disgusted. He knew information is leverage, and when you give away information freely, you're giving away your power. In 2026, become a void of information. You listen, watch, read, but you don't broadcast. What are you working on? A few things. Change the subject. Who are you seeing? Smile. Say nothing. Maintain strict asymmetry. You know everything about them because they post it, scream it, announce it. They know nothing about you. This imbalance creates power. Think about algorithms. Do you know how they work? No. Black box. Input goes in, Output comes out, mechanism hidden. That mystery is why it controls you. You must become a black box to people around you. If they know your plans, they can sabotage them. If they know your fears, they can trigger them. If they know your desires, they can withhold them. If they know nothing, they're fighting a ghost. The darker side. When you're silent, people project their own fantasies onto you. They assume you're smarter, richer, more dangerous than you are. Silence is a canvas where people paint their insecurities. Let them paint. Let them build a monument to you in their minds. Don't correct them. Don't clarify. In a world of glass houses, the man in the bunker is king. Rule 6. Artificial empathy. The sniper's smile. There's a misconception that Machiavellians are cold, emotionless robots. Amateur hour. Robots are easy to spot, easy to isolate. The true master is warm, charming, empathetic. But in 2026, this empathy isn't a feeling, it's a tool. Machiavelli said, "A prince must know how to make use of both the beast and the man." You must understand feelings better than people who have them, but you cannot be infected by them. Most people drown in empathy. They feel others' pain so deeply they can't act. Get swept up in group hysteria. You view emotions as data points. She's crying. You're not sad. You're analyzing. Why is she crying? What does she need to hear to stop? How can this vulnerability bind her closer to me? The team is panicking. You don't panic. You simulate concern, mirror their anxiety just enough to show you're one of them. But inside, your heart rate hasn't changed. This detachment allows surgical operation. While everyone reacts to the emotional storm, you're navigating the ship. You say the perfect thing, not the honest thing. The perfect thing, the thing that disarms, that creates trust. I understand how you feel. You're right to be angry. I've never met anyone who sees the world like you do. These are key codes. They unlock the human firewall. Use them. But never forget it's a simulation. If you start believing your own performance, you lose the advantage. You must remain the observer behind the glass, the sniper, and empathy is just the scope. Rule 7. The calculated glitch, weaponized imperfection. In 2026, perfection is suspicious. AI-generated images, filtered faces, curated lives. When something looks too perfect, our brains flag it as fake. We don't trust the flawless politician, the overly polite salesman, the nice guy. Machiavelli would understand this instinct. To be trusted, you must appear human. And to appear human, you must be flawed. The strategy. Curate a weakness. A small, harmless vice you display publicly to hide your dangerous ambitions. Maybe you have a bad temper about cold coffee. Maybe you're bad with technology and need help. Maybe you admit to fear of public speaking. Why this works? First, it makes you relatable. He's just like me. They lower their shields. Second, it gives them false superiority. When they help you with your weakness, they feel useful. They feel they have an edge on you. While they're focused on your clumsy printer fix or weather rant, they're not looking at the chess pieces you're moving in the background. The principle. A prince who appears invincible invites challenge. A prince who appears slightly broken invites sympathy. Sympathy is safer to operate from. It's camouflage. Let them see the crack in the armor so they never suspect the knife in the boot. Rule 8. Dopamine withdrawal. Control the timing. Time is no longer money. Time is dopamine. In 2026, everyone is addicted to immediate response. Blue check marks, typing bubbles, notification sounds. People panic when the loop is broken. Machiavelli would see the smartphone not as a communication device but as a leash, and he'd be the one holding it. You must never respond on their schedule. Respond on yours. Message demands an answer. You wait, not because you're busy, because waiting creates value. In that silence, their mind works for you. They spiral. Did I say something wrong? Is he angry? Why isn't he replying? Check phone. Nothing. Check again. Nothing. Then 6 hours later, you reply. Calm, brief, warm. The relief they feel is chemical, a hit of dopamine. By providing that relief, you've conditioned them like Pavlov's dog. They learn. Your attention is a reward, not a right. In negotiations, lethal. In romance, addictive. The person willing to wait holds the power. The person who needs the answer now is the slave. Break the rhythm. In a world of instant gratification, delay is a god complex. Everything I've shown you so far is operational. Tactics, techniques, psychological maneuvers. But here's what separates amateurs from masters. Amateurs use these rules to win individual battles. Masters use them to construct reality itself. The next 5 rules aren't about manipulating people, they're about manipulating perception, truth, the very fabric of social reality. This is where Machiavelli's philosophy reaches its final form, where strategy becomes inevitability. Most people never reach this level. They're too busy fighting for scraps. But you need to understand it, because someone is using these rules on you right now. What I'm about to show you is the difference between being a player and being the game itself, between controlling outcomes and controlling what people believe outcomes mean. This is the territory where morality dissolves completely, where the only metric that matters is, did it work? Rule 9 will make you uncomfortable. Rule 10 will disturb you. But Rule 13 is the one that changes everything. Let me show you the final layer. Rule 9. The necessary monster. Unify through fear. Machiavelli wrote, "Fear preserves you by a dread of punishment which never fails." But in 2026, you don't need to be the monster. You need to point at the monster. The psychological truth. Society is fractured. People are lonely, desperate to belong. And the fastest way to build a tribe isn't love. It's a common enemy. Want to lead a team, group, or movement? Identify a threat, an external force trying to destroy us. Could be the competition, the system, a rival ideology. Doesn't matter if the threat is real or exaggerated. What matters? It unifies the group, gives them purpose, survival. When people feel under attack, they look for a protector. They stop questioning your methods, stop looking at your flaws. They just want safety. You become their shield. This is dark. But look around. Every successful movement in 2026 runs on this mechanic, us versus them. Try to lead with logic. You lose to the leader who appeals to survival. Find the monster, or manufacture one, then offer them the sword to fight it. Rule 10. The Judas kiss. Compliment before you crush. Here's an amateur mistake I see constantly. People let their enemies know they're enemies. They glare, make snide comments, posture. This is stupid. It gives the enemy time to prepare, puts their defenses up. Machiavelli would despise this lack of discipline. If you plan to remove someone, fire them, break up with them, outmaneuver them. Treat them better than ever in the days before the strike. Compliment them, agree with them, make them feel secure, safe. Why? Because a man who feels safe leaves his gates open. He sleeps soundly, stops watching his back, and that's when you strike. The blow should come out of nowhere, should be total. Machiavelli said, "If an injury has to be done to a man, it should be so severe that his vengeance need not be feared." You don't wound, you remove. By the time they realize what happened, it's over. They're standing in the parking lot with a box, wondering how it went wrong, remembering how nice you were at lunch yesterday. This isn't cruelty, it's efficiency. The mercy of the quick death versus torture of the long war. Never signal your intent. A smile is the best place to hide teeth. Rule 11. Gaslight Reality. Own the frame. In 2026, truth is subjective. Deepfakes, AI articles, conflicting narratives. Truth is just the story that won. Machiavelli wouldn't cry about misinformation, he'd become the author. The principle: people don't remember facts. They remember feelings. How you made them feel about the facts. Make a mistake. Don't apologize in a way that admits incompetence. Reframe it. I didn't fail to deliver the project. I chose to delay it to ensure quality standards only I can uphold. You're not late. You're operating on a different priority. Not rude. Direct. Not wrong. Seeing the bigger picture. If you say this with enough conviction, calm authority, 90% of people will doubt their own memory before they doubt your confidence. This is frame control. Whoever holds the strongest frame wins the reality. Most people have weak frames. They're unsure, looking for someone to tell them what's real. Be that person. Define the history of your relationships, the narrative of your career. If you don't write your story, someone else will, and you'll be the villain. Pick up the pen. Rule 12. The chameleon skin, death to identity. The modern world tells you, find yourself. Be authentic. This is a trap designed to make you rigid. Rigid objects break under pressure. Fluid objects adapt. Machiavelli would tell you, kill your identity. Don't be tied to being the nice guy or the tough guy or the moral guy. These are chains. Be what the situation requires. Room requires a listener. You're mute. Requires a commander. You roar. Requires a fool. You dance. This isn't lack of character. It's the ultimate survival trait, adaptation. In 2026, the landscape changes daily. New laws, new taboos, new tech. The dinosaurs died because they were too big to change. Mammals survived because they scrambled. Be the mammal. Shed your skin when it no longer serves you. Change opinions when they stop being useful. Change allies when they become liabilities. Loyalty to a sinking ship isn't honor, it's suicide. Machiavelli asks, do you want to be right and dead or flexible and alive? Rule 13. The amoral outcome. Results are everything. We arrive at the final rule, the one that underpins all others. The world judges you on one metric: results. They don't care how hard you tried, don't care about your intentions, don't care about your excuses. Did you win or did you lose? Machiavelli is famous for the ends justify the means. But let's look closer. He meant, if the end is preservation, order, and power, history will forgive the methods. In your life, stop agonizing over rules society set for you. Those rules were written by the powerful to keep you obedient. The powerful don't follow the rules. They rewrite them. Need to lie to protect your family? You lie. Need to manipulate a boss to get the raise that feeds your children? You manipulate. Need to be ruthless to secure your freedom? You sever the head. This isn't about being evil. It's about being effective. In 2026, the gap between winners and losers will be canyon-wide. Winners, those who did what was necessary. Losers, those who did what was polite. Machiavelli tells you to choose. You can be a saint in paradise or a prince on earth, but you cannot be both. The resistance you're feeling right now, you might feel something in your chest. A voice saying, this is too dark, too manipulative. I want to be a good person. Good. Keep that voice. That's your humanity. But understand, you don't learn the sword to become a murderer. You learn it so when the murderer comes, you're not helpless. The world of 2026 doesn't care about your feelings. Algorithms aren't sentimental. Systems of control tighten every day. To navigate this darkness, you must carry a torch. And sometimes the fire that lights the way is the same fire that burns the city. Use these rules not to destroy, but to protect, to carve out space where you're free, where you're not a data point, not a consumer, not a victim, but sovereign. Machiavelli didn't write The Prince for people already in power. He wrote it for the one who wanted to take it back. Take it back. So here's where we are. You understand the 13 rules? Algorithmic Ghost, Starve the Prediction, Weaponized Apathy, Grey Rock Doctrine, Synthetic Mirror, Reflect Their Ideal Self. Invisible Hand, Outsource Dirty Work, Black Box, Information Asymmetry, Artificial Empathy, Sniper's Smile, Calculated Glitch, Weaponized Imperfection, Dopamine Withdrawal, Control Timing, Necessary Monster, Unify Through Fear, Judas Kiss, Compliment Before Crushing, Gaslight Reality, Own the Frame, Chameleon Skin, Death to Identity. Amoral Outcome, Results are everything. What happens next is up to you. Most people will watch this, feel uncomfortable, and return to their comfortable delusions. They'll keep feeding the algorithm, keep reacting emotionally, keep being predictable. They'll remain batteries, data points, victims, or you can pick one rule, just one, and implement it this week. Become slightly less predictable, slightly less reactive, slightly more strategic. Just one shift, and watch the dynamic change. People will start treating you differently without knowing why. They'll feel something different when they're around you. Not quite fear, not quite respect. Something in between that makes them careful. If this opened your eyes, 3 things. 1. Subscribe. What we're building here isn't self-help. It's strategic evolution. 2. Comment below. Which rule will you implement first? Be specific. 3. Share this with someone who's being played, someone smart but naive, someone who thinks being good is a strategy. The next video breaks down the exact psychological profile of people who've mastered these rules and how to identify them before they use them on you. You'll want to see that one. Until then, remember, the game is being played whether you participate or not. The algorithms are sorting you right now. The systems are categorizing you. The manipulators are profiling you. The only question is, are you going to stay a pawn? Or are you going to learn to play? Machiavelli didn't write for the comfortable. He wrote for the ones willing to see the world as it actually is. Brutal, strategic, immoral, and survivable if you know the rules. Now you know the rules. Now use them, not to become the monster, but to ensure the monster never makes you the victim. Now go become ungovernable.